Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Lydia Washington, for being here first. Okay. Let's see. Okay, slides are on the way. I don't know. I feel like it's something I didn't do, but I won't worry about it. Or will I? Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Okay. Don't need that. And oh, slides are here. There we go. All right. Lazy and entitled. Whinging Willie. I hope I spelled that right. Whinging. Whinging Willie. That's not a word that we use in the US. Just like that row, which looks like row. We don't use that either. I remember the first time I saw that, I'm just like, row? What is a row? You mean like row a boat? And you guys were like, no, it's not pronounced like that. I'm like, you got into a row with someone? What was it, like a rowing contest? But it's a row. I tried to find another way to spell that would make sense, and I guess that's it. It is what it is, right? But that's okay. I always tell people I don't speak English. I'm an American. Okay. There we go. So you guys saw this temporary thumbnail that I used. This was temporary. This was generated by StreamYard. Yeah, so I don't know that I would ever use one of those. But if you see something that doesn't look like my usual uniform thumbnail with the blue border at the bottom and all that kind of stuff, then it may just be me using one of their temporary thumbnails. Okay. All right. As ever, is back with some new products. And what do you know? I took a nap and slept right through it. How could I wake up and find out something like that has happened? That's because our Duchess was very stealth, did not say anything. There was no clues, nothing. I suppose this photo actually comes from an email. I've been sitting here trying to figure out where does that come from, and I'm thinking it must have been an email, right? Let me check that for myself. Okay. As ever, as ever. Well, anyway, of course I made an order. I um I like red wines, uh Duchess of Sussex, if you're listening, which I'm sure you're not. Um I would be very disappointed if you didn't have anything better to do but listen to me on a Friday night. But that being said, okay. New City Gardener, thank you for being here. So I'm looking for a response. Is that photo from the email? Hey, Legs. Okay. Nobody knows? That's okay. That's okay. It's not important. I'm just being nosy. Okay. Yeah, I don't see an email. Okay. So maybe it's not. Well, that is the mystery then. Where did that photo come from? But I've seen everybody using it, so I'm guessing it came from today. All right. No worries. Let's continue. So, I love these. These, I wonder if these photos come from the stately palatial Montecito Manor. But anyway, they are very artfully done. And of course, our Duchess looks absolutely stunning. Are those violets? No. What do you call those flowers? I don't know what they're called. But anyway, love these images. Ah, there was no email. Yeah, you know what? I was just looking. I could not find one. So I guess that means no. Okay. So that is the new bottle of the Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc is French. Sauvignon Blanc. Can you say that with me? Sauvignon Blanc. The C is silent. Sauvignon Blanc. Isn't it silent? I think so. Anyway, that is the new wine offering. It is a Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc. Okay. Aren't we getting fancy? Yeah, it says we're getting your order ready. You know, I had to order it. Now, when you do order it, you have to get 3 bottles. However, you can pay for them over time if you like. You don't have to pay all at once. So you can do like, I think it's around $30 each time you order. I mean, each time you pay it. And then I think it's 4 payments of like $30 because there's a delivery, I believe, is like $27. Okay, so you do pronounce the C. So Marlboro, how would they say that in French? Mavio, Mavio Sauvignon Blanc. I am so continental. I love it. Let's see. Picture is on the As Ever Wine site. No email. Thank you for that. And thank you for the super chat. Okay, I'm just too nosy for my own good. The reason why I was so concerned is because I would hate for something to come up and I don't know anything about it. You know what I'm saying? So, um, oh, by the way, you guys, the jam, it says coming soon. Now, I think they took the raspberry spread, not the jam, this raspberry spread, that was taken away. Now it's back and it says coming soon. But they do have the apricot and they do have the orange marmalade. So you got those two and the raspberry. You know, to get the quality right and to get enough for our satisfaction, we are simply going to have to give the Duchess of Sussex a little more time to get it together. But it'll be worth it. Trust me. So if you are pining for that raspberry spread, just be patient. I promise you, it is on the way. Um, I suspect that our Duchess just wants to make sure that there is enough for everyone's satisfaction. Also, a little birdie told me that there are no keepsake boxes for this batch of marmalade and apricot, but let's hope that they do have them available. But it does say coming soon, and there has been a price adjustment for the spreads. Raspberry, where it all began. The signature as ever raspberry spread is inspired by the recipe Meghan crafted in her home kitchen. This signature blend delicately mixes the sweetness of raspberries with a hint of lemon. You hear me? Just a hint of lemon and is crafted with a fluid texture so it can be drizzled, spread, poured, and enjoyed for so much more than your morning toast. Yeah. So there you go. I suspect that Megan loves like a nice lemon kind of, taste to everything. I mean, notice how she was using the what do you call that? The lemon zest. So, I think no, I didn't. I thought I had got myself one of those zester things. I've been trying to find one that I think is like the right one. Um, yeah, there's not so many of those about, but that's something that I'm looking for. Is a zest, one of those lemon zest things, and you could use them for like Parmesan cheese and such. Oh, you know why I didn't get it? Because I have a box grater. That's why I didn't get it. I was like, I could just use my box grater. So that's probably why I didn't get it. But I know I was thinking about the lemon zester. Okay. And there it is. I cannot wait to taste it. I cannot waste it. I cannot wait to taste it. So, the Sauvignon Blanc, is that a dry wine? Right? No, I think it's dry. Let me see. I'll answer my own question. Let me see. Oh, it is dry by design. It is most often fully fermented to eliminate all residual sugar through fermentation. Oh no. I want some of that sugar. Huh. Well, that means just pair it with something that's got, something sweet going on. That's all. Yeah. So it is a dry wine. I need some reds though. I like a good red wine. But let me give you a little hint. Actually, what do you call it? Some advice. Okay. Um, when you cook, if you require wine when you're cooking, right? They say the best wine to use is whatever you like to drink. So, in other words, if you have a half a bottle that you have not completed, then use that. Take a few sips, pour a few sips. That's the best way to cook with wine. It's pretty much whatever you have about. Sad news today. Dame Patricia Routledge passed away. I love her. I just love her. She was so talented. One of the most talented people I've ever seen on television. She could sing, she could dance. I mean, she was a triple threat: sing, dance, and what else? The other one, act or whatever. But yeah, she was incredible. She's a star of stage and screen, even the television screen. And a lot of those stunts, she actually did those stunts herself. Oh, the red may be out for Christmas. I'm going to look forward to that. Thank you, Beverly McCaskill. Take a look here. This was Keeping Up Appearances. This is how most Americans got to know her. From 1990 to 1995, there's the Vicar, and there's Emmett, and Daisy, and Rose, and oh, Elizabeth. Oh, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, you just ruined my best Royal Dalton with the hand painted periwinkles. And of course, Richard is dressed up like Santa Claus there, or as they say in the UK, Father Christmas. And there's Onslow back there. Yeah, what a great show. If you have not seen Keeping Up Appearances, I found it through PBS television here in the States. Great show. Hyacinth, of course, is the ultimate social climber. Everything about her is as though she bumped her head and she woke up and she thought she was the Queen Mother. Everything about her, except she didn't drink as much as a Queen Mother. But it's a great show. And of course, as always, it has that very fun British comedy kind of theme to it, where there's always a big misunderstanding and such. So, great show. Um, and yeah, now every time I do my Hyacinth bouquet impersonations, I'm gonna feel a little sad. The bouquet's residence, the lady of the house speaking. The bouquet residence. The lady of the house speaking with her trimline phone, right? Her yeah, she says, this I'll have you know this is a trimline redial something phone, she would always say. What a fun show. Let's see. Sonia Johnson says, keeping up with appearances. Oh, I love that show. I don't know why I thought she had passed long ago. Because she was, gosh, 99 or something like that. Um, but no, she was I saw like interviews and stuff with her, and she looked like the picture of health. But I think most everyone that was on the show passed away some time ago. Maybe the vicar is still alive, and Mrs. Vicar, wherever she is. Mind the road, Richard. Minding the road. Poor Daddy. If it wasn't for the drooling, I'd have him over here. Oh. The indoor, outdoor candlelight supper and finger buffet. Remember that one? The indoor, outdoor candlelight supper finger buffet. No, I'm sorry, buffet. Yeah, buffet. The indoor, outdoor candlelight supper finger buffet. And best I can guess, that means that she's going to bring a lot of plants in the house so that it seems like you're outdoors. And then she's going to have finger food, buffet style, and there's going to be candlelights. So the indoor outdoor candlelight finger buffet. Oh, can anybody think of the name of Hyacinth's neighbors across the street? Do not cheat. Do not cheat. The names, the name that is of the neighbors, Hyacinth's neighbors across the street. Anybody? Do it fast. Do not cheat. No cheating. Oh, come on. Please don't cheat. There are no prizes. No, not next door, across the street. Across the street. Next door was Elizabeth and her brother Emmett. Yes, it was long ago. Of course it was. She was always trying to impress them. No, Elizabeth was next door. That's why I said across the street. I'm stressing across the street. Okay, since nobody can remember, it was the. I'm trying to give it a chance. Anybody? It was the Barker Finches. Yes, it was the Barker Finches. They were always trying. Well, she was. Always trying to impress the Barker Finches. Vigar. Oh, the counselor, Mrs. Nugent. Yes, counselor Mrs. Nugent. But no, she didn't live across the street. Counselor Miss something. Yes, it was the Barker Finches. They lived across the street. I think they were in number 12 or number 23. And she always wanted to try to impress them. The Barker Finches. I watched that show. As a matter of fact, I have the box set. What was the number of the Barker Finches across the street from Hyacinth's Bucket? I'm using, oh, they were number 23. I can't believe I remembered that. The Barker Finches, Hyacinth's Bucket social rivals in the sitcom Keeping Up Appearances, lived at number 23. I was right about that. Hyacinth lived across the street in number 117 Blossom Avenue. You know what? I don't think I ever knew the street that they were on. I never knew it was Blossom Avenue. But you know what? It makes sense though, because if you think about it, hyacinth is a flower, rose, and daisy, right? So all the girls, all three daughters, were named for flowers. Well, wouldn't it make sense that she lives on Blossom Avenue? Isn't that funny? I never knew the name of it. Joan Garcia says a Brit comedy, Vicious, had one split. Had one split a gut laughing. Laughing. Oh, had one split in the gut laughing. Got it. Sorry about that. Thank you very much, Joan Garcia. And yes, I did watch Vicious. That was hilarious, especially when that kid raised the shades or opened the blinds and let all that light in. Oh my God, that was funny. That was funny. The way both of them were just like, what do you call it? I guess leering over the neighbor boy upstairs. Sonia Barker Finch, Keeping Up Appearances. I didn't know. Did they ever show Mrs. Barker Finch? Yes, they did. I'm looking at it now. That was actually the I thought Barker Finches. I didn't think they ever showed the characters. It says Sonia Barker Finch is a rarely seen character and is both Hyacinth's neighbor and nemesis. It seems that she is in a similar can't afford it but still posh position to Hyacinth's. Oh, so they were both social climbers. They were both posers pretending as though that they could actually afford things they really couldn't. So, yes. Well, anyway, I cannot believe I remembered Mrs. Barker Finch lived at number 23. Oh, well. Well, why wouldn't I know that? I've watched it so many times. Oh, okay, I will. Let me see here. Uh, okay. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He I saw that preview for that thing he's on. Okay. Okay, I got one last question from Keeping Up Appearances. Does anybody remember why Hyacinth wanted the moving truck to park facing away from her house? Does anybody remember that? Why Hyacinth wanted the moving truck? She got some furniture delivered and she wanted to make sure that the truck was facing away from her house. Now, this should be really easy, but does anybody remember why? I won't wait for the edge. I'm going to go ahead and move on to a few more photos. This right here is a very young Patricia. You can see her on the right side. She was actually in the movie To Sir with Love. Remember that with Lulu? And of course, the fine actor, Academy Award winning Sidney Poitier. This movie came out like over 50 years ago, and she played one of the school teachers. And there she is on the right. She's got a cute little shape, doesn't she? I mean, when she got older, she looked a little more matronly, but there, I think she looks kind of cute. Look at that little shape she's got. She's fit, right? Wearing a mini. Come on, come through now, Hyacinth. Patricia, she looks gorgeous, doesn't she? So girly and shapely, I can't believe it. Oh, I love To Sir with Love. Those schoolgirl days of telling tales and biting nails are gone. But as I leave, I know that they will live on and on. Hey, what takes the place of climbing trees and bloody knees in the world outside? What is it for you I can buy? Wasn't that a good movie? If you wanted the moon, I would try to make a star, but I would rather you let me give my heart to Sir with Love. Boom, 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 boom. You know, Lulu was just on This Morning recently. Yes, she was. Lulu. Yes, Lulu was on This Morning. I forgot what she was talking about. She said something about sleeping with somebody years ago. You know what that means, right? Somebody just wrote a book. Somebody just wrote a book. Yes, it's like one of my favorite movies. There was a time when no one could leave this house until we watched with To Sir with Love. No one was allowed to leave this house. I'm going to put this movie on, damn it, and we're going to watch it. Now sit down and shut up. We're going to watch To Sir with Love. And then we're going to cry and we're going to discuss it. And we're going to talk about how tough it was being a teenager, all of that stuff. But yeah, that was a great movie. Um, all right. All right, sir. Mr. Thackeray. Let's see. I do more. No, I say it's I do hope. I do hope you'll join me for my nautical buffet. I don't remember the nautical buffet. Oh, she was married to one of the Bee Gees? How come I never knew that? How come I never knew that? Welcome, Mrs. Bucket. It's bouquet. It's bouquet. Actually, it's bouquet. You got to get it right. Yes, it may be spelled bucket, but it is pronounced bouquet. You have to get it right. Mrs. Bucket, that's bouquet. I remember when she answered the door and the guy asked for Mrs. Bucket and she slammed the door, right? And then Richard answers the door and he said, I know what it looks like, but it's actually pronounced bouquet. Yeah, you do better if you say bouquet. Okay, try it again. So then she comes back to the door with that smile. Mrs. Bucket, a bouquet. The bouquet residence lady of the house speaking. Oh, Violet. It's my sister Violet. She's the one who has a home large enough for a Rolls Royce, a jacuzzi, and a pony. Something like that, she would say. Okay. Anyway, you guys, that was a nice trip down memory lane. All 31 minutes of it, but we got some other stuff to get to. But yeah, thank you all. Isn't this beautiful? I just ramly. I just gotta sound like Barbara Walters. I just randomly ran by this on the interweb and thought I would share it with you. What a beautiful painting. It's called Purple Butterfly. And the sad thing is I can't remember who painted it, but whoever has painted it, they're from Kenya. Yeah, I think they're from Kenya. Let me see if I have the name. But yeah, that is a very beautiful painting. I think it's Edu Royale. That's Edu Royale. I think that is the name of the painter, and they are from Kenya. Okay. So if you're interested in their work, I hope I got that name right. But yeah, so I think it is beautiful. I'm going to check and see if I can verify that name. Yeah, they're on Instagram too. Oh my goodness. There we Oh, I see the painting. I see the painting. Let me show you. Let me show you. Let me show you. This is a real person, not AI. At least I don't think so. Not AI. So there we go. I'll show you. I think I'm going to follow this person. Yeah, so it's Edu Royale, and they are on Instagram and other social media platforms. Okay. And here's a few of his other works right here. What stunning artwork! Can you stand it? Well, so far I don't see anything of the Sussexes. Um, that is kind of like a definitive thing for me. Whether or not I'm really into you is depends on whether you are into the Sussexes. I hate to say it, but I have some very, very strong standards like that. So far, I see one that I don't like. It features one of the people that I don't really care for, but I'm going to try not to hold that against him. But if I was him, I would get with the program. Drop that turkey dinner and find yourself a winner. Okay? Okay, moving on. So, the adventures of Whinging William or Whinging Willie? I think Whinging Willie. Willie the Whinger? The Adventures of Willie the Whinger. Which do you like best? The Adventures of Whinging Willie, Whinging William, or Willie the Whinger? The Adventures of Willie the Whinger. I think I'm liking that. Always whinging, always complaining, always trying to convince people how tough his life is. Look at that. Tom Sykes, tell me again about the magical father son time in Scotland. Oh, they were staying 8 miles apart, and William was actually grouse shooting all day with his mates. Yeah, that one. What a load of nonsense the palace has spun to their clients, trying to rubbish my reporting about the tension in the William and Charles relationship, all from William's friends. Thanks for confirming it, William. Whinging William. And then over here it says Tom Sykes gets so pissed when he's made out to be a liar and a fool. Love it. Meanwhile, it was people like Rebecca English, Richard Eden, Matt Wilkinson, and Phil Dampier who were sent out to push heavily that William and Charles were the best father and son duo to ever exist. If someone has access to this, I would love to read what he wrote. So that means that it's on Substack. As you can see, The Royalist is on Substack. Isn't that something? And someone else says here, oh, this is the fight you love to see. And Ralston Milton says, I'm interested in seeing if self-preservation kicks in for William and he stops alienating the likes of Tom Sykes, or if he digs in and risks them turning against him. Harry's proven right again. It's the two houses briefing against each other. How about that? Well. All right, Tom Sykes. Whinging Willie. Now, how do you go and testify in front of a very successful podcaster, comedian, actor, whatever, Eugene Levy? How are you going to talk about how tough things has been while you're standing with the backdrop of Windsor Castle? Right? Oh, wait a minute. But I thought he was just like us, right? Or what about this? He goes to a local pub after touring around Windsor Castle. And why wouldn't he go to a pub? His work is what he makes of it. He doesn't have to work like you and I. There's no schedule. Look at that. Recollections differ. Oh, let me, do I have a sound for that? Yes, I think I do have some sound for that. Let me find it, and then I will share it with you. Oh, my phone was buffering so bad yesterday. I hope that it's not going to act out again today. I do apologize in advance just in case it does. Whinging Willie is whinging again. Okay.
They were the vision of fitness and stoicism and resilience, if you like. My grandparents lived to their, the high 90s. They were the vision of fitness and stoicism and resilience, if you like. My grandparents lived to their, the high 90s. They were the vision of fitness and stoicism and resilience, if you like. My grandparents.
His grandparents lived to be in their mid 90s, right? But as you can see here, so do death certificates. Yeah, recollections differ. So do death certificates. Two died age 68. When he says his grandparents, he does know that the Earl Spencer, Diana's father, was also a grandparent. And he also should know that, what was her name? The mother, the one who left or was thrown out of the Althorpe, that was also a grandparent. So he's only mentioning the two that he thinks are important. So the two that died age 68, ironically, um, they were the unimportant ones. Yeah, not worth mentioning, huh? I mean, if you are going to assess your, shall we say, your health profile, your life expectancy, if you're going to assess that, why would you just limit that to your father's side of the family, the uh, the patriarch? Why don't you go to the matriarch side of the family and decide what your life expectancy is? So I guess, I mean, I haven't seen it. To be fair, I have not seen it, but this is his way, I would imagine, of trying to explain why it's such a shock that people get ill and people get cancer and people fight wars in Europe instead of Africa and Asia, where we're usually seeing wars. That's the same dumb person who said, "You don't think about war in Europe. That's something you imagine in Africa and Asia." Well, this is the same dumb person who is sitting here trying to um, guess whatever his life expectancy might be or that of his family based upon just his father's side of the family. And you can see how nonsensical that is because God forbid Charles should leave us anytime soon. But I mean, let's face it, Charles is not as old as his mother was. I mean, his grandmother was when she passed away, unfortunately, from cancer. Also, do consider that the Queen's father, how long did he live? Right? He died kind of young. The men in the Windsor household usually do not do as well as the women. The women tend to live on and on, but the men, not so much. Only this latest batch of men, like the Duke of Kent and the Duke of Gloucester, I think you would say, and Prince Michael of Kent, you would say that they're doing pretty well for themselves. But I don't think he really knows exactly how long the life expectancy is in that family. But I would say that he is just basing it on who's a royal and who's, or should I say, who's a monarch and who isn't. And even with that, like I said, um, probably not a good idea to assume too much. Let me see. It just goes to show that Petty Willie doesn't care about his mama or her side of the family, in my personal opinion. Well, Mina Ruth, that's good enough for me. That is good enough for me. I'll accept that. Huh. Well, let's see. That means King Charles III will be living till he is in his 90s. Let's hope so. Let's hope anything to keep him away from that throne. Interacting with the media. Wank didn't care that they were abused. This is why Wank are angry at Harry and Meghan. They are to do, they were to do the work. Pitiful. Yeah, that's what he wanted. He wanted his chew toy. Like any dog, he wanted a chew toy. He wanted something that would squeak every time he bit into it. Oh, Legs, I didn't know that you had this here. Let's see. Uh, see that head tilt? I feel like he learned it from Kate. Well, anytime that you're trying to, you know, trying to pull the wool over somebody's eyes, anytime you're pretending to be concerned about something that you really don't care about, you have to kind of lean into it. Oh well, poor limited Willie. Poor limited Willie. He never seems to get it, does he? All that backroom briefing and stuff. Backroom briefing. Yeah, that's true. The Spencers are way more English than that German side of the family. And take a look at this. Was that Zandy Sussex? I think I left the caption out of this, but I believe it was Zandy or Sussex Soldier that pointed out the hypocrisy of William with all these cameras about the place, when, of course, all these years you've been hearing this criticism for the Sussexes and their use of video cameras and such. And there's Willie with cameras all over the place. Oh yeah. Oh no, it was someone else who said that, and it was shared by Sussex Soldier. The hypocrisy of cameras following the royals, shaking my head. But Netflix, right? But Netflix. They were so triggered by the Netflix cameras. And yet William, he barely leaves the house unless he's followed by a camera crew. If royal appearance on The Reluctant Traveler isn't carefully orchestrated image rehabilitation, then what is it exactly? Zandy says it's clear Knopf's latest project is to try and rehabilitate William's image to the world from the angry bully and sociopath that he is to someone you'd want to have a beer with. I'm glad some media are calling it out for the manipulative BS that it is. Expect more of this BS. Well, I'm glad that people are calling it out. I really am. I'm so glad because William has gotten away with a lot of things over the years. And most of the things that he has gotten away with in his youth was usually because of them trading stories to the detriment of Harry's, um, life. So, or his reputation, should I say. So, yeah, I would be very pleased to find out that the media is about to drag Willie all up and down these streets. And let me just say, I think he deserves it. If anyone deserves a good dragging, it is Willie, which is why I oblige every time that I can to drag that menace, that menacing Willie. Okay. So, yeah, it says here Prince William's very cool and normal guy, according to Eugene Levy. The Apple TV is not generally thought of as a people's princess of streaming television. Is obviously Peacock. Just in case there was ever any doubt, though, The new season of The Reluctant Traveler with Eugene Levy doubles down on the Apple TV identity as a destination for comfortable institutionalism, with an entire episode devoted to an interview with Prince William. A producer hands Levy an envelope with an invitation handwritten by William, and Levy is apparently completely surprised that this was, in fact, the entire conceit of the episode. Somehow he still arrives for the conversation the next day with a laundry list of reassuring questions designed to put William totally normal, dorky dad guy mode on full display. Sure, maybe this wasn't a carefully orchestrated public relations salvo with a single minded aim of conveying that William is a normal human being, that is, who is ready to gently transition the monarchy into a new era of modernity without doing anything to insult traditionalists. But if that's were the goal, would any of this interview need to change? Let's consider. Ooh, I love this. They're about to get real nasty. Eugene Levy watches William roll up to Windsor Castle on an electric scooter. Do I have that? Yeah, there we go. William looks unimaginably awkward, claims he's late because his scooter got a puncture. Oh my God, really? He had a flat tire. And then hops off and informs Levy, I was a big fan of all your earlier films, Eugene. Well, if your scooter got a puncture, why didn't you just hop into that fleet of Range Rovers? You have a complete muse at your house full of vehicles, including your electric vehicle. Why wouldn't you just hop into one of your other vehicles and arrive on time? This starts off stupid. It really does. It just starts off disingenuous and stupid. Anyway, he then hops off and informs Levy, I was a big fan of all your earlier films, Eugene. The American Pies. Levy finds this flattering and has no follow-up questions about humor, sexual sensibility, or the difference between American and British pies. He is very into the practicality of the scooter, though. We get lots of voiceover commentaries just to keep things friendly. A prince on a scooter, he's certainly not afraid to roll with the times. Get it? Roll with the times. Everyone's childhood home has a story to tell, but this one more than most. As a dad myself, I can relate to the feeling of just trying to do right by your kids. Thank you, Eugene. Now, William keeps insisting that he doesn't know anything about Windsor's 1,000-year history. You know what? I'm going to take his word at that. I can believe he don't know anything. William keeps insisting he doesn't know anything about Windsor's 1,000-year history. Do not ask him anything about dates. Do not ask him anything about Henry VIII. You can ask him to repeat an apparently famous line overheard during a public tour of Windsor Castle when a tourist mentioned it was such a shame the castle had to be built so close to Heathrow Airport. Ha ha ha. I know how my history's bad, but that's another level, William says. Levy laughs in disbelief. Okay. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Okay. Now, you know who's so great? Queen Elizabeth. So great. Do you miss your grandmother? Levy asked William. Yes, he does. He had a very warm relationship. She wore scarves instead of helmets when riding horses. That's an image we were all very familiar with, Levy says. She was deeply distraught when Windsor Castle burned in 1992, a year which I shan't look back upon with undiluted pleasure. I'm sorry, when I saw 1992, I couldn't help it. 1992. But yeah, so she was very distraught when the castle burned in 1992. It was acceptable and fun to make her laugh, but only under certain circumstances and about particular subjects that William declined to specify. My grandfather was very amusing, sometimes not deliberately, sometimes by accident. William says, "Happy times." Levy's voiceover jumps in. So, of course, they mean that in between these comments, they would have the voiceover that they do post production so that they can keep the thing moving. Let me see here. Where did I leave off? Oh, as a grandfather, it's the laugh I want my grandkids to remember me by. Okay, thank you, Mr. Levy. And then a bevy of probing questions illuminate the royal family in a new and surprisingly intimate way. Did Queen Elizabeth do a lot of writing? She posed for many oil paintings, right? Did she like posing for oil paintings? Did William come to Windsor Castle often? Is William a football fan? Does William ever get overwhelmed by the sheer history of the place? No, actually. All of it, again, apparently done with no warning or prep time for Levy, comes off with bizarre credulity. Um, it's not the performative friendliness of when celebrities interview other celebrities, and it's not the adversarial feeling of an interview with a professional journalist either. It's like two guys who've been thrust together by their wives and promise that they have so much in common. You really like each other. Just ask him about family. You both like family, right? Sure. Uh, okay, this isn't such a long article. William is prepared to be monarch. Commit. Ugh. William is prepared to be monarch, committed to change and modernity. Yes, he is prepared to be monarch, they say. I think if you're too intrinsically attached to the history, you can possibly have and you can't possibly have any flexibility. William tells Levy, I think it's very important that tradition stays. I think tradition is a huge part of all of this, but there's also points where you look at tradition and say, is that still fit for purpose today? William says, although history does not overwhelm him, sometimes things to do with family can be overwhelming because it is more personal, more about feelings, more about upsetting the rhythm. If you like, Libby nods and the voiceover chimes in. I wasn't expecting to chat to William like any other guy, but what I'm realizing is that despite all the grandeur, this castle's actually a home. Oh, okay. Moving on. No further question. Uh-oh. There's a good dog named Orla. Okay, do you see the dog? Oh, there it is. There it is right there. That's Orla. Orla is cute. What an adorable dog. Remember, bad things happens to royals too, and they are just regular people like anyone else. Yeah, they're regular people just like anyone else. At a casual pub in Windsor, Levy orders Guinness and drinks none of it. Wait, where is that at? Let's go back here. There we go. Levy orders Guinness and drinks none of it, while William orders a sweet cider drink, 1/4 of it. and drinks 1/4 of it, that is. Levy gets into questions about everyone's health over the last year. Okay, cue the violins, you guys. Cue the violins. Here we go. You ready? Cue the violins. So, Levy gets into questions about everyone's health over the last year. 2024 was the hardest year I've ever had, William tells him. Everything now is progressing in the right way, and Catherine is in remission, but it's been difficult to protect his family amid media scrutiny. If you're not careful, you can intrude so much into someone's life that you can unpick everything, William says. And growing up, I saw that with my parents. Well, if you saw that with your parents, then why in the Frappuccino, why in the Frappuccino are you feeding your brother and your sister-in-law and your niece and nephew? Why are you feeding them to the wolves? If you've seen that with your parents, if you know what that entails, why are you being such a horse's rear end? Okay. At no point does it make sense for these two men these men to be spending this much time together. Levy's ostensibly there because exploring royal life was on his bucket list. William allegedly there because he is being a good host and giving Levy a personal tour. At no point does this ever resemble the fun reality travel show it's meant to be. William moves through several highly sanitized attempts at vulnerable transparency without ever saying much. And although he's pretty good at pretending, it's never not odd that he's just hanging out and telling Eugene Levy about his wife's experience with cancer. Levy, for his part, does seem honestly fascinated and a little cowed by spending time with William, but that humility feels just as weird. This is Levy's third season hosting a travel show. He's been on a huge sitcom. He's been in films and TV forever. Remember the American Pies? He's hosted the Emmys and Saturday Night Live. No, he's not royalty, but presumably he has seen an electric scooter before. Yeah, he's seen an electric scooter before. He's just so wowed by the experience, and his awe is so unearned. Obviously, William is not here doing you a personal favor. This is elaborate, calculated image rehabilitation. Oddly, the end result of that, Levy comes off as even more distant and indestructible than William. William at least seems to be in on the game they're playing. The monarchy has always been so formal, but with William, you get in you get that. I'm sorry, with William, you didn't get that at all. Levy concludes at the end, there's a normalcy to it that surprised me, took me back. He's took me aback, he says. He says this while sitting in St. George's Chapel in the same pew where Queen Elizabeth was photographed mourning after her husband's funeral. Gotta be honest, he was fun to hang with, Levy says at the end. Maybe you had to be there. Uh-huh. Okay, that's the end of the article. He was fun to hang with. Maybe you had to be there. Now, when somebody says maybe you had to be there, then that's when you know that they know that you know that it didn't quite hit the mark. Okay? Listen to that again. Levy says at the end, maybe you had to be there. It's like a bad joke, right? A joke that is humorless. When they say, when you tell a funny story and nobody's laughing, you always say you had to be there. In this instance, this was a pathetic interview. It went against the normal programming, right? It wasn't really on theme with the travel show that it's supposed to be. Now, they say that this wasn't an interview per se, it's a travel show. But I don't think it's a travel show. It's actually an interview and not a very good one, you know? And it does seem to look very similar to the interview Meghan had with what's her name, where they went to the burger joint. Now that, and I'm going to say with my own bias, that seemed very connected. And the questions were very tough at certain points. She did not. This is why I tell you guys, some of you all get very irritated when they did that little thing with Trump in Meghan's interview. Well, at this point, who's still talking about it? Nobody. And having experienced that part of it, it's enough to say, yes, this was a real interview, as opposed to this with all these softball questions. And of course, William trying to convince people that his life has been really tough the past year as he strolls around Windsor Castle. It is the polar opposite. This is very fake and contrived and orchestrated compared to Meghan's interview, where you could actually see that she was actually grilled a bit and she passed the test with flying colors. She was prepared, very well prepared. Not prepared for that interview, but she's prepared to demonstrate her authenticity. I have never seen Meghan ever tripped up by anything that anyone's had to say. But in this instance, where everything is so contrived, William didn't say much. He said a lot and nothing at the same time. It was all a bunch of platitudes designed to remind you that, yes, he's a real person too, and he's been through a tough time. Oh, I had a puncture. Well, then hop in one of your several vehicles. What sense does that make? Oh, I had a puncture. So what? Have the chauffeur drop you off. I mean, that was too silly for words. I had a puncture. No, you left when you felt like it. You wanted to make sure that he was in place. And part of the power play is you have him sit there and wait for you. Nice. Real nice. Now, let me see. It's image rehabilitation because the press called him Prince of Boring after Harry's UK visit, but this interview doesn't work in his favor. I love it. So let's see here. Oh my God, I really can't see that. Hold on a second. Let me try to make this bigger. I cannot see that for nothing. Let me see here. Let me try to make that bigger. Can y'all see that? Because I can't see it. Okay. Too bad they don't have this in Braille. Huh. Well. Oh, okay. I see what that's. Okay, there we go. All right, so the first one on the left says the biggest impact he can do is abolish the monarchy. Next, I want to create a world in which my son is proud of what we do. Let's see. He has 3 children. Oh, oh. Did you all get that? Did you all get that? I want to create a world in which my son is proud of what we do. And this squatty points out, baby, you got 3 children. Why are you worried about your son when you got 3 children? Ouch. Ouch. Don't you love it? Okay, next. But William is the one that threw Harry and Meghan to the media, especially Meghan. William already went to the practices of the past. That's why Harry had to remove his wife and kids from the institution. William is such a hypocrite. Hello. Hello. Okay, next. He's the instigator of all this nonsense. He and Kate are jealous of the attention that Harry and Meghan were receiving. Next. Team Prince Harry, let us gather here. I love that. Only his son? What the hell? Yeah, someone said, only his son? What the hell? And then next it says, I personally think he will need his brother more than he realizes. Just thoughts, really. Okay, next, the hypocrisy. He's the one who's been entertaining the practices from the past. What a disgrace. Disgraceful. Okay, I got 4 more paragraphs of these. Okay, let me get to the next one. Oh, wait. Did I skip one? Oh, no, I just got these other 2. Never mind. I just got these other 2. It says here, why he says, my son is proud. He's got 2 sons and a daughter. Hello. Now, see, the tabloids would be all over Harry like a cheap suit if Harry said something like that, which I know he wouldn't. How about this one? I can't help think if Harry did go on TV for an interview similar to this, he would have been annihilated as nice as any interview may be. Okay. And next, you could start by including your brother and his wife lovingly into the family. Okay. 3 more. Team Prince Harry. Next, biggest thing he can do is go visit his nephew and niece. Lastly, this feels like propaganda. What are they trying to make me believe? Okay, mission not accomplished. Mission not accomplished. Oh, yes, you guys, it wouldn't be complete without the notorious one. It would not be complete without the notorious one. So let me get this queued up for you.
And Samantha Markle jumped. A few days ago, an earthquake hit the Philippines, and Samantha Markle jumped online claiming that her father, Thomas Markle, was trapped on the 19th floor, helpless and unable to walk. She turned it into some tragedy, and as always, managed to twist it into Meghan Sussex's fault. Yes, Meghan, who wasn't even there, wasn't even involved, and had absolutely nothing to do with the earthquake or Thomas's situation. And of course, the truth came out. Thomas wasn't stuck anywhere. He was fine, sitting comfortably in his hotel room. And once again, Samantha Markle got caught in a lie. And instead of admitting she made it all up, she tried to shift the blame and spin the story to keep Meghan's name dragged into a mess that didn't even concern her. And that's where you see just how these people are. Samantha inventing a fake crisis, Thomas forever complicit in the drama, and Carolyn Graham, the tabloid enabler who's made a career running these anti-Meghan narratives, giving them legitimacy when they deserve none. These three despicable people addicted to attention and obsessed with tearing down Meghan Sussex. Samantha can't stop inventing lies. Carolyn can't stop printing them. And Thomas can't stop being used as the centerpiece of their circus. If you need proof that Meghan was right about cutting these people off, this should be it. Their behavior is trash, their credibility is gone, and the only ones embarrassed are them. Meghan wasn't involved, but they'll never stop trying to make her the villain in their sad little story. A few days ago, an earthquake hit the Philippines, and Samantha Markle jumped online claiming that her father, Thomas Markle, was...
Okay, that was starting to repeat. Okay, alrighty. Thank you very much. Now, as you can see, we're going to that one. Curious case of Carolyn Graham, Thomas Markle, and the Daily Mail obsession with Meghan. When a newspaper embeds one of its writers in Meghan Sussex's father's life, it stops being journalism and starts being exploitation. From Mexico to the Philippines, one reporter's proximity to Meghan's father raises unsettling questions about surveillance, manipulation, and obsession. Well, of course, we are speaking of Carolyn Graham. Carolyn Graham, the daughter of Dixie herself. Carolyn Graham has been at some place or another in this whole debacle. She keeps herself just on the fringes, but nonetheless, she's manipulating constantly. And it's not limited to Meghan's father. There's been other situations where Ms. Graham has wreaked havoc with the Sussexes, with the Markles, etc. And one could only assume that she has been given a green light. I'm going to allege she has been given a green light to go after the Sussexes. And it's not without, I'm going to just, again, allege, it's not without people in high places making this possible. Yeah, I think it is with the consent, allegedly, for the lawyers listening. I think it is with the consent of some major players. It sounds like a setup to a lurid pot boiler. Queen Camilla's biographer, Daily Mail columnist Carolyn Graham isn't just filling copy from her London desk, or filing copy, should I say. She's been embedded in Thomas Markle's life for years, first in Mexico and now reportedly in the Philippines, where the two are said to be living together. On paper, she's covering him. In reality, she seems more like a live-in minder, that is. Now, this is from The Medium. It's from the online magazine, The Medium. The Daily Mail has effectively secured a direct pipeline not just to Thomas Markle's quotes and photos, but to his state of mind, his access, and perhaps even his communication. The whole setup reeks of a long-term media strategy embed that is a trusted insider with Meghan's father. Keep him on script and be first in line should Meghan ever reach out. This bizarre arrangement raises disturbing questions about the ethics of journalism and the obsessive lengths the British tabloid press will go to in order to control a narrative. Why would one of the UK's most notorious outlets dedicate an employee to essentially shadow Meghan Sussex's estranged father? This is not normal journalism. Reporters don't generally move in with their subjects. They don't act as de facto caretakers or as a first line of communication when emergencies happen. And they certainly don't position themselves as a conduit for intimate family matters while simultaneously publishing negative stories about the family member's estranged daughter. Social media users have drawn their own conclusions. Some suggest Graham's role has crossed all professional lines, with whispers that she and Thomas may even be romantically involved. Yuck. Yuck. How about that? Ugh. Ugh. Yuck. Anyway, if true, it would collapse the already thin boundary between reporting and manipulation. This gives even more credence to the suspicion raised by Meghan in her Netflix docuseries, Harry and Meghan, when she recalled texting her father in the lead up to her wedding, only to instantly sense the person on the other end wasn't him. Could it have been Carolyn posing as Thomas even then? It's not too far-fetched to think Carolyn may have been intercepting or even composing messages under Thomas's name, keeping the Daily Mail in control of the narrative. Now, Samantha Markle, who has her own axe to grind with against Meghan, accidentally exposed the bizarre setup. She thought she was calling out Daily Mail's hypocrisy, but what she really did was confirm suspicions many already had that Thomas Markle is being managed, monitored, and perhaps manipulated by a tabloid insider. Now, this is just, I want you to hear this. I want you to hear this.
A direct line to Thomas Markle. Are you speaking to him regularly?
I do, yes. I reach out to him over the phone, call him, and text with him.
Do you have a direct line to Thomas Markle? Are you speaking to him regularly?
I do, yes. I reach out to him over the phone, call him, and text with him.
Do you have a direct line to Thomas Markle? Are you speaking to him regularly?
I do, yes. I reach out to him over the phone, call him, and text with him.
Okay. Now that is TMZ reporter has a direct line to Thomas Markle. That's what he told Good Morning Britain back in 2018. I would imagine the competitive thing to do at that time is for the Daily Mail and perhaps others to try to reach out to Thomas Markle. A pensioner, if you will, and an all-around shady character, easily manipulated. But it's not that easy. You got to bring something for daddy. Remember, now it's time to pay back daddy. Isn't that what he said? If that didn't sound gross enough. And the Independent says right here on the 1st of October, Meghan's father refutes claims made by her estranged half-sister about being stuck in the Philippines following earthquake. So, all right, where did I leave off? Oh, let me go here. There we go. If this all feels murky, that's because it is. And it's not even new. Thomas Markle has been a weapon in the media's arsenal before, repeatedly transformed into a weapon of narrative control, less a father, more a spawn, deployed whenever the media or palace allies seek to wound Meghan. Remember, Jeff Rayner and AMI's Dylan Howard, their orchestration of the pre-wedding photo scandal wasn't journalism, it was sabotage. Now, there is a pattern of weaponization. There's a pattern to it. Oh, words do matter. Thank you so much for 41 months of membership. It was from Willie Leaks saying, I ride a scooter because I'm always late. I saw this in Celibacy article. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Now, the pattern of weaponizing Thomas Markle. They have a whole like chronological order to this. I wish I could have shared it with you. But here it goes. Matter of fact, I'm going to save this because I may need this later on. Yeah, this looks like something I might need later on. That's what we do. We save receipts. We save our receipts. Okay. In 2018, the stage photo scandal, paparazzi photographer Jeff Rayner and former AMI executive Dylan Howard allegedly orchestrated stage photos of Thomas Markle in the run-up to Harry and Meghan's wedding, a move designed to humiliate and destabilize the couple on the global stage. And then from 2018 to 2019, the media frenzy. After the scandal, Thomas became a permanent fixture of hostile interviews with his image commodified and weaponized to fuel anti-Meghan headlines. And then, of course, next are the Mexico years. That's what they call it. The Mexico years. Mexico years, Carolyn Graham embedded. Mexico years, Carolyn Graham embedded. Reports suggest Daily Mail's Carolyn Graham was effectively stationed near Thomas in Mexico, raising suspicion she wasn't simply reporting, but managing and monitoring his presence. And then from 2024 to 2025, the Philippines relocation. That's what they call it. The Philippines relocation. The latest twist, Graham now reportedly living in the Philippines with Thomas Markle, a situation blurring the lines between professional coverage and personal entanglement. Many recall the live Thomas Markle interview on Australia Channel 7 as he accused paparazzo Jeff Rayner and a former American Media Inc. executive, Dylan Howard, of roping him into stage photo scandals designed to humiliate him and derail his daughter's wedding. At the time, these claims were dismissed as the ramblings of a bitter man, but legal filings and bitter fallout later revealed that he wasn't entirely making it up. The pattern was clear then and is even clearer now. Thomas Markle has long been a pawn in other people's games. Huh. Oh, wow. They got the, I don't know if you guys ever saw that interview. But Omid Scobie actually retweeted it. Bless his heart. And that was back in 2021. That was September of 2021. I will show you what I mean here. Ooh, this is getting juicy, ain't it? This is getting juicy. Okay, check it out. Australian Channel 7 has deleted a September 15th Thomas Markle interview where he accuses Coleman Rayner, boss Jeff Rayner, and former American Media Inc. exec Dylan Howard of using him to sabotage the Sussex's wedding. Lawyers for Howard deny the claim and threaten legal action. Thomas Markle spilled the beans, y'all. Thomas Markle spilled the beans. And just when you thought the arrangement couldn't get stranger, along comes the latest story that Carolyn Graham is now trapped in the Philippines with Thomas Markle in the recent Cebu earthquake. Critics argue this is just another manufactured plotline, a way to drag Meghan's name into yet another sideshow, keeping her tethered to the same family drama the tabloids have been monetizing for years. A media organization embedded one of its own inside the private life of Meghan Sussex's father, not just as a source, but as a gatekeeper of his every move. It's no longer journalism. It's surveillance, it's exploitation, and it's obsession, plain and simple. It's bizarre spectacle. A major British tabloid so fixated on Meghan Sussex that it effectively embeds one of its own writers to shadow her estranged father, milking his greed for stories and waiting like a vulture for any scraps of contact between them. Is a living, breathing illustration of how tabloids operate when fixation on a woman eclipses any ethical boundary. If Carolyn Graham has blurred the lines so far that her role is less journalist and more live-in companion, what does that say about the male's methods? At what point does professional coverage cross into personal exploitation? And perhaps the most pressing question, should this murky arrangement be investigated? Mm, mm, mm. That is stunning. Now, I want you to take a look at this. Samantha, right here, says, maybe Carolyn of the Daily Mail shouldn't have sent me panic messages saying that they were trapped because my father couldn't walk down 19 flights of stairs and the elevators were not working. You see what she just did there? She inadvertently told it. She inadvertently told it. And we could only assume, based on this tweet, what the hell is that? What is that? Now, the photo on the right side is not a new photo. This photo, I believe, was from when they first got to the Philippines. Does Thomas Markle look like he can't walk? And perhaps he's holding Thomas Jr.'s hand, but he's walking. He does not have a walker. He's walking upright, just like the Yeti that he is. And take a look here. 80-year-old Thomas Markle in the company of someone, I wasn't sure of her age, so I blocked her face. like father, like son, Thomas Markle Jr., in the company of someone. I'm not sure of her age, so I just decided I would block her face. Seems like they're getting along just fine. And mind you, Thomas Markle Sr. and his companion, whoever that may be, assuming that is Carolyn Graham, they are in a hotel on the 19th floor. Now, I've never been to the Philippines, but I would imagine that if they're in a structure that has 19 floors, that it must be somewhat modern, perhaps, that it must have interesting amenities as opposed to being in some Airbnb or something the equivalent thereof. I mean, they're at a 19-story hotel. That means that there's a staff, not just other, tenants, but that there's a staff, that this place is known by the local authority as a place of business, likely to have people from out of town, expats, etc. So I'm saying that to say this. I would assume, I'm just going to assume that this place is quite safe, and that for the sake of their profits, whoever owns this hotel is going to see to the comfort of their guests. And depending on, when this hotel was built, I'm pretty sure that it was built to the standards that would allow it to ride through an earthquake. Okay? You get what I'm saying? Let's say this is the Manila Hyatt or the Manila Hilton or something like that. I don't know what town they're in, but I'm just saying. They're in a 19-story building. Wonder who's paying for that, by the way. I mean, I know they say the Philippines is a bargain, but it ain't that much of a damn bargain. There is Thomas Markle Sr., and that is Thomas Markle's stomach. Now, as I've said so many times in the past, that Carolyn Graham has mounted Mount Thomas St. St. Thomas Markle Mountain, Mount St. Thomas Markle. She climbed up that mountain and came down with Meghan's letter. I'm speaking figuratively, of course. But yeah, just like Jack and Jill, she went up the hill, and instead of to fetch a pail of water, she came down with Meghan's letter. Now, I'm just going to say this. Number one, I give her points for being that determined to get the story no matter what. I just hope she took a good bath afterwards, because you can get kind of sweaty climbing up a mountain. There's all kind of, debris and loose rocks and tumbleweeds and blubber. Mountain goats. Now, if you ask me, Thomas Markle looks like a loser. When I first saw him, I promise you, I'm not gonna swear in an awkward way, but if I was one to swear in a way that demonstrated how serious I am, I said at the time, I do not want her father to walk her down the aisle. I even said that to my sister, and she said, "Why not? That's her father." I said, I don't get a good feeling about him. I took a look at him. It was two things that stuck out, and it does not include his stomach. Number one, he hadn't met Harry. He has not met Harry ever. Number two, just the sight of him, he reminded me of Otis Ames, the wino from the Andy Griffith Show. He reminded me of that big loser on the Andy Griffith Show in the fictitious town of Mayberry. They got so drunk that he couldn't go home to his wife. So he would go down to the local jail and he would just say hi to Sheriff Taylor. And then he would just go in the cell and pull the door behind him and sleep it off. That was his usual role on the Andy Griffith Show. Loser. Just like right now, you're not sure if any of these photos is Otis the wino or is one of them supposed to be Thomas Markle. You can't be sure. Unshaved, unbathed, Otis the wino, Thomas Markle. You can't hardly tell one from the other. Thomas Markle proves how profitable a royal relative can be. That's a Tom Sykes article from 2018. Thomas Markle and Samantha Markle have been accused of selling out Meghan to the tabloids. Kensington Palace and Meghan and Harry would be well advised to make nice. Now, see, I don't like that part. Make nice to him? One thing about Thomas Markle is that no matter how much you do for him, it would never be enough. And I'm not even going to allege, I'm going to say I know that. It would never be enough. Part of what motivates him, part of what motivates Thomas Markle is the game. The game. Gaming the system, beating the system. He has a larcenous heart and a gambler mentality. He's always has and he always will. He always assumes that this next time he's really going to beat the system. And when I took a look at him, I said, oh God, no, I do not want that man to walk Meghan down the aisle. I just the sight of him, and I thought it was strange that he had never met Harry. And I think maybe the third part was the fact that he was living in Mexico. Not that there's anything wrong with living in Mexico, but that he was living in Mexico. A thriving career on television. And he went to one of those communities, not where you go to retire, but in his case, where you end up. He didn't go there, he ended up there. My spirit said he burned every bridge along the way. And I knew it was something that just wasn't right about him. And I've mentioned that to a few other people. And in my mind, I was just like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if Barack Obama walked her down the aisle? Anybody but Thomas Markle Sr. I know that look. I've seen people like that before. They're no good. This is a parody created by one of the squaddies. We'll lie for money and attention. I have other grandkids. Too lazy to get a job. I love it. These are the famous photos. And as my memory fades, maybe this is part of the reason I didn't want him to walk his daughter down the aisle. Now, at the time, I didn't know that these photos were staged. I had no idea. But I guess my spirit must have told me something ain't right about him. Something ain't right about him. So, I always have these theories about someone's ancestry. Things were not always so dull on the set of The Andy Griffith Show. I believe that Otis the Wino and Aunt B must have hooked up on the set of The Andy Griffith Show. Yes, everybody's sweet old Aunt B. I believe they must have hooked up. And as a product of that tryst was born Thomas Markle Sr., also known as the Yeti. The Yeti. Yeah, that's what I believe, and no one will ever make me believe anything different. I do believe that he is the product of Aunt B and Otis the Wino. Meghan Markle's father might have suffered a stroke Monday night as he was rushed to a hospital by ambulance. Thomas Markle suffers major stroke days before Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebration. Dan Wooten reveals. Who you gonna believe? Who you gonna believe? The daughter of Dixie herself. One of the squaddies says, I was looking for a receipt and just realized that both rumors about Meghan and Dior and Senate all came from Queen Camilla's biographer, Carolyn Graham. These were then extensively debated on UK morning shows. Camilla going after Princess Diana's daughter-in-law is a sickness. So let's break that down. The claim that Dior rejected Meghan, was that the one? Or how about Meghan wanting to run for the United States Senate? These came from columns that were written by, guess who? Carolyn Graham, who proudly poses beneath a Confederate flag. Like I said, a daughter of Dixie. I'm sure she fancies herself a bit of a feminist, but you have to understand, I don't know what ratio it is, but there are a lot of white women that are middle aged that call themselves feminists that are gatekeepers for misogyny and racism. They are the gatekeepers. They protect, shall we say, nationalist points of views. They're the ones that seem to promote things like Brexit and MAGA. Those are the ones. They seem to be very comfortable in each other's company. Camilla, Her True Story by Carolyn Graham. Camilla, the King's Mistress, a love story. And this is something she wrote, look at there, 1994. 1994. What is that, 31 years ago? 1994. She wrote this book. revealed the letter showing from Carolyn Graham. See there? From Carolyn Graham. Secrets of Meghan's letter revealed. Note to her father saying her heart has been broken in a million pieces. Reveals she is a narcissistic showman whose self-control is wavering, says handwriting expert. By Carolyn Graham for the Mail on Sunday. And not that this has anything to do with Carolyn Graham, but I just threw this in here because I saw it. Fury at Meghan's brother's sick YouTube vids. Thomas Markle Jr., those videos were so vicious. The language was so nasty, almost like he needs to have a order of protection against him. You need to have like an order of protection, because what he was saying about his sister was so vicious that it makes me believe that he could possibly be a very dangerous person. I mean, after all, wasn't he arrested? Didn't his girlfriend at the time say that he pulled a weapon on her? Isn't that why he got arrested? Oh, I wish I was a Dixie. Go away, go away. I wish I was a Dixie. Get the hell away, get the hell away. Stay away, stay away. Stay away from me, you Dixie. That's her mother. That's her mother. Both of them look just as sinister as they could ever be. Yeah, that's you almost don't even think of Carolyn Graham as having parents. She seems like some aberration that has just shown up. Like some evil that has spawned out of the dust. Like somebody turned over a rock and something covered with maggots began to raise themselves up. That's what you think of when you think of Carolyn Graham. Something filthy and sinister. Now, there was a time when she actually wrote some things about the golden couple. William and Kate charged 15 couples 32,000 pounds each for dinner in New York. Cash for access. Questions as royal couple court U.S. super rich. And that was Katie Nichols and Carolyn Graham. I'm going to guess Carolyn Graham probably didn't have much to do with the title, but being a reporter from the U.S., why wouldn't she actually, participate? In a wide-ranging interview with Carolyn Graham near his home in Mexico, Mr. Markle revealed the anguish he feels at the thought of never seeing his daughter again. Do you wonder if Meghan realized that her father had someone with him possibly 24 hours a day from the tabloids? I thought that perhaps the daughter of Dixie would come and go, whenever they thought there was something interesting to be had, that maybe she would appear. Or is she just waiting for him to take his last breath so that she can write the story about it? Is there hopes that he will expire soon and that she could be there to let the world know what Meghan's approach was to his passing, whether or not she made herself available to her horrible family? I don't know. I don't know what the angle is there. I mean, I know that most of it is just access so that every time Meghan has momentum, that they can weaponize her father against her. That's a constant. But you know what? It's not just limited to Meghan. The Harry and Meghan haters really are a miserable group. What a terrible way to live in the world. I hope Carolyn Graham understands she just got herself blacklisted here for, well, ever. No loss to the world. Enjoy your trip back over the pond, ma'am. And Queens Are Made, I believe she's responding to Queens Are Made, said, I am glad Carolyn Graham put her name on this article. Brits fail to understand sycophancy toward the British monarchy doesn't get you anywhere in the U.S. Insulting big names in Hollywood and billionaire philanthropists in the U.S., however, will get you blacklisted at events. And so this has to do with an article. Carolyn Graham recalls her night at the tacky Living Legends of Aviation Awards in Los Angeles. The language that Carolyn Graham used against some of the wealthy and successful people in that room that night, all in the hopes of disrupting Harry's award presentation. Organizers had promised that the Duke would attend with his wife in what had been billed as the couple's first joint Hollywood red carpet appearance. But a PR lackey suddenly announced that Harry would be solo and that he had just snuck in through the back entrance. Now, that is Carolyn Graham at the Living Legends of Aviation Award. I mean, she was literally there, and that was January of 2024. She was literally there making herself available on that night so that she could write something salacious against Prince Harry, someone who she may not have ever met before, but for some reason, being a gatekeeper, she has to target him as a way to get to Meghan. Harry cannot stoop lower, she said in the article. I would advise him to stay away from German royals' fury as Harry takes selfie at tacky LA Aviation Award with self-styled prince who is accused of using spirulous connection to fog wealth elixir and become a reality TV star. Now, she's speaking of Prince Mario Max. Prince Harry has been warned to stay away from a German prince who is accused of using spirulous connections to flog his wealth elixir after posing for a selfie with him at the Aviation Award ceremony. The Duke was all smiles when he posed with Prince Mario Max Schlumberg Leap, who is once dubbed the king of trash TV at the Living Legend of Aviation in Los Angeles on Friday night. Prince Mario Mac's website boasts connections stretching back to William of Orange, which would make him a very, very distant cousin of the British royals. Well, he's German. He's Germanic. Of course, if he's from the German aristocracy or the Germanic, from any of those countries over there, Austria, Switzerland, Luxembourg, well, all those countries over there where there's the German language, then of course there's a good chance that he's related. Those families intermarried. But he is a very distant cousin, whatever the case. He's likely to be a very distant cousin. So the other thing that I believe that she orchestrated was the whole Pat Tillman Award thing. Prince Harry's controversy He's perfect for the Pat Tillman Award, past recipient says. This was a hot mess, and I believe that Carolyn Graham had a lot to do with it. She wrote articles. She seemed to be embedded with Pat Tillman's mother. She's very good at that. I have to say, she's very good at embedding herself with people somewhere close to the center of the story. So this was very convoluted, but I'm going to just give you a brief. Pat Tillman's daughter is the one that runs the Pat Tillman Award. I mean, not daughter, his wife, his widow. His mother seems to believe that her input is more important than his wife's. But upon marriage in the US and probably most countries, his wife is next of kin, not his mother. Now, in the absence of his wife and his children, then of course, the next closest person under the law, I would assume, would be his mother. But seeing that he was married at the time when he died tragically, his wife is the one that runs the Pat Tillman Foundation. The Pat Tillman Foundation wanted to reward Harry with the Pat Tillman Award. And the guy here on the left says Prince Harry's a humble stand-up guy who blends in as just another fellow veteran, making him deserving of the Pat Tillman Award for service. A former recipient tells us amid the outrage over ESPN's decision to honor the royal, enters his mother, who was given a platform for weeks to and I'm going to just say this. I hate speaking against Pat Tillman's mother, but she was a real pain in the ass. And every photo of his mother looks just like this. Her life's work is to somehow vicariously through her son seek as much attention as possible in her son's memory, should I say. And it's at that point where it has become a bit nauseating. It is the constant appearances, just like you see here, where she is clutching what appears to be, I don't know, his service record or something like that, but it was just awful. She did herself no favors. There's some kind of psychology going on here, and I don't know what to call it, but it was really tacky. And the fact that the Daily Mail and Carolyn Graham was feeding into someone's already fragile state just to attack Prince Harry, just to disparage the Sussexes, goes to show you exactly how sinister their motives are. Carolyn Graham is the devil. She is the devil. If anyone ever asked me, could I point to any evidence that a demonic force greater than most was walking the earth, I would have to say Carolyn Graham. Feeding this woman's already fragile situation just for engagement, just for clicks, was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. And it just dragged on and on and on. And it was a back and forth They were trying to find as many people as they could to put them on television to declare why someone who has devoted their life to service, as Prince Harry has, was not a worthy recipient of the Pat Tillman Award. You see there? Carolyn Graham. Backlash grows after Prince Harry wins award set up to honor war heroes. Well, he is a war hero, damn it. The mother of a U.S. war hero in Afghanistan has criticized the decision to give Prince Harry an award honoring her dead son. I repeat, her opinion is not the one that matters the most. It's his wife. Harry will receive the memorial award set up in the name of Pat Tillman, an American football star who gave up a $3 million contract or £3 million contract to enlist in the United States Army after 9/11 in Hollywood next month. Wasn't 9/11 one of Harry's motivations to go into the military, as he watched 9/11 on television, just like most people? But the soldier's mother, Mary, said she was not consulted, adding, "I am shocked as to why they would select such a controversial and decisive individual to receive the award." Now, I don't believe she said that. I believe she may have felt that way, but I don't believe she said that. Those are Carolyn Graham's words, not Mary Tillman. If anything, I'm going to assume that Mary Tillman probably had a string of obscenities come out of her mouth, but she did not say that. She knows. She knows, Black Lily. She knows. His mother, Pat Tillman's mother, is a right-wing opportunist. And she uses her status to be a gatekeeper for all things right-wing, far right. She uses that status. She's not just this sad figure in history. What she did was deliberate. It wasn't just by chance. It was instigated, of course, by Carolyn Graham, but she did that deliberately. She wasn't interested in Harry's record. She didn't care. She is determined to decide who gets to tell her son's story. And as far as I know, I do not believe that she and Pat Tillman's widow are on speaking terms. You understand what I'm saying? I don't think they speak. The fact that she was not consulted is because they don't speak at all. She has nothing to do with that award. I'm not even sure she had anything to do with setting it up in the first place. The person who is responsible for Pat Tillman's legacy, where that award is concerned, is his wife, not his mother. Okay? I mean, I hate to be rude, but it's time to cut the apron strings. That award has nothing to do with her. It does not require her consent, and it hasn't for years. And now you can see why. Now you can see why. We don't know what Pat Tillman's political leanings were, but whatever they were, that the award, his foundation does not require his mother's consent. And if that is what she needs then she needs to set up a foundation of her own. There's nothing to stop her from setting up something on her own. I mean, it just really got to that point. It was very painful to witness. But I'm not going to assume that they used her. I believe that she made herself available, and she will continue to make herself available for anything that is alt-right, nationalistic, super conservative, MAGA, Brexit like. I do believe that she has been working the lecture circuit on her own, probably still clutching that damn book. I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel about it. It really got sickening. I am still confused on what the mother actually said. It sounded like a person that interviewed her told her that Harry was controversial. Then they led her to say negative things about him. You know what, Legs? I hope that's the case. I hope that's the case. I like to believe that she's more involved than what people are aware of, but I hope I'm wrong. I do hope I'm wrong, because I would hate to think that that poor woman is walking around with all of that hostility against somebody she doesn't even know for no good reason. But honestly, I was very triggered by that. It just got to be too much. Oh, I'm sorry, I read that already. I've said it before, and I will continue to state that I have a strong feeling that either late in 2026 or sometime in 2027, the Sussexes will have a big lawsuit against British so-called Royal Rota. I hope so. I hope so. Because this was quite deliberate. And there's no reason why they could not file a suit in an American court. Let me see. Words Do Matter says, Baron, these attacks against Harry and Meghan are amped up, should I say, because the Daily Fail court case is coming up. There has been evidentiary hearings over the last 2 days. Thank you, Words Do Matter. Yeah, that is something to take into account, is that there is a big lawsuit for 2026. Lex says one of the recipient honors where Harry was, I remember that she was talking to him at that meeting. I am guessing that she has no stake in his legacy, and as soon as Carolyn found out, she pounced. Mm-hmm. Yep. Carolyn Graham is like a horror movie character. Connie Bomber. Hey, Connie Bomber. Thank you for the super chat. That makes two of us, Sonia Johnson. Mama kind of got on my nerves. Yes, she did. She kind of got on my nerves. And if anything, she made a spectacle out of what should have been a routine award ceremony. Mary Tillman was essential to the Daily Mail to drag this out. Is there no one in her life that could have said to her, you know, I think it's a bit much now? I wonder if Carolyn Graham moved into her spare bedroom. But honestly, you guys, every time I looked at Mary Tillman, I felt triggered. I felt this long feeling of despair every time I saw her face, clutching that damn book. And I don't take pleasure in feeling that way, but I do. Harry under fire. All of this was orchestrated by Carolyn Graham with the help of Pat Tillman's mother. If anything, why didn't Pat Tillman's mother go to the foundation and ask them, under what circumstances are you giving Harry this award? She could have done that. The only thing is, like I said, I don't think they're on speaking terms. And let's face it, you guys, I know that it must be very painful for life, living life after losing a child, especially under those circumstances. Pat Tillman died because of friendly fire. He died because of a miscommunication with a soldier. And even some people say that there's an American soldier. Some people say that there's some controversy about that needs to be further investigated. I'm not going to get into that. However, there are some people that will, I don't want to say use, but will be defined. I'll be very diplomatic. There are some people who will be defined for the rest of their lives, and not necessarily in a way that helps others, but they will be defined by that incident or an incident similar to that. So I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to say nothing I shouldn't say. I don't know that lady, and I don't know her pain. But I'm just being honest. She got on my nerves. Now, Backlash Grows did that already. Okay. And then over here, Harry cannot stoop any lower. Done that already. Oh, Mario Max had to get the lawyers. It says here, Carolyn Graham, Daily Mail, gets attorney, mail by Prince Mario Max law firm, cease and desist and a retraction demand for her fake news about Prince Harry and Dr. Prince Mario Max Prince Schomburg. She wrote an article accusing him of being a fake prince, which came as a surprise to his parents. And so he lawyered up. He went and got lawyers. Now, I made a video at the time from the audio of him speaking to the Daily Mail. He was very, very complimentary, not only to Harry, but to the royal family. And they tried desperately to trap him into some soundbite that they could use against Prince Harry. But he was just a little bit too media savvy, and he did not give them the satisfaction. And I believe that enraged the Daily Mail, ergo Carolyn Graham. I believe that enraged them because they tried their best. Well, who suggested that you take a photo? Did you know Prince Harry prior to this? What damn difference does it make? If I had $1 for everybody Prince Harry met in his lifetime, I'd be a millionaire. What difference does it make? Well, the difference is they were trying to find something to use against Prince Harry. So when that didn't work, they decided, well, let's call his character into question, Mario Max, that is. And so that is what they attempted to use against Harry, was Mario Max. The tenacious attacks on Harry because of this award was only matched by the ESPY Awards. Oh, wait a minute. Aren't these the same thing? Oh, no. Was it? Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway. Oh, am I confusing myself? Is the ESPY and the Pat Tillman the same thing? Yes, the same. I'm sorry. Oh well. But my point is, anytime there's an award for either Sussex, it brings out the worst. It brings out the most nasty, negative reporting. It does not matter Harry and Meghan's lifetime of service. That is not the point. The point is they want to make sure that the Sussexes are punished for leaving the royal family. They want to make sure that nobody ever wants to take the heat that comes with rewarding them for their hard work. But let me just say, I am very proud as an American that in this country, in spite of this right-wing movement that we're going through, there are still people that adore Harry and Meghan and do not give a rat's behind who doesn't like it. And that's why the person was saying that Carolyn Graham might find herself canceled, especially by the uber rich. You know, when she was saying those things, Jeff Bezos was in the room. One of the biggest self-made billionaires on the planet. And whether you like him or not, this is someone who started a business in his garage that is worth more than most countries. And she would dare speak out like that. And there were others, people who made something of their lives, maybe not always the nicest people, but that's not the point. Another Carolyn Graham. It's sad. She's trying too hard to stay in the limelight. Everyone had their say about Meghan's Netflix show. Now read her dad's withering verdict as he reveals what she's really like in the kitchen. Are you serious? Are you serious? While she's allegedly embedded with Thomas Markle Sr., all of a sudden, here comes a column where he describes Meghan in the kitchen. It has been so many years since Meghan has lived in a household with him. What does he know about her ability to cook or how she feels about cooking? What does he know? If she had never cooked before the age of 20 or before the age of 30, it does not matter. You don't know what her relationship to food is. You don't know what her relationship to cooking is. Anything to perpetuate negativity. Why William is doubling down on his rift with his brother, Carolyn Graham. Another Carolyn Graham story. Now tell me she don't have it in for them. Meghan considering run for office. Duchess of Sussex name is in the frame to fill California Senator Dianne Feinstein's seat after Senator died age 90. That is a ridiculous lie. There is a pecking order. There are people that are waiting patiently in California government. Prosecutors, state senators, mayors, you name it. People who have been in the Democrat Party machine for years, just like Attorney General, what's her name? Senator and then Vice President Harris. That's how Harris got to be a senator, is because she was active in California politics, in California government. So Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, a political novice, a political outsider, would have no possibility of hanging on to that seat. Yeah, the governor could just sign her in there, but then she'd have to run for re-election. Or at least she would be obliged to run for re-election. Anyway, it was ridiculous. It was something to create hostility against Meghan. The good old who does she think she is? It was a big lie. And then, of course, just what is Meghan trying to hide? After months of fruitless investigation, Carolyn Graham discovers a shocking new theory on what's really behind the Duchess's jam brand. Is she ill? There is nothing, I repeat, nothing about Meghan's products that is exceptional to any other product. It is made in a factory. The recipe has had to be adjusted for commercial purposes. The factory is nowhere near Montecito. The one thing that I will stress that a lot of consumers may not know is that every time you make something like this, you go to a manufacturer that has a reputation for quality. But what makes it different is that the recipe, the blend, is very different from the same products that come out of the same building. They may come from the same kitchens, but they're not the same. I love Cheez-Its. I love Cheez-Its. I've been eating Cheez-It crackers all my life. But brand X, the store brand of Cheez-Its, does not taste like the original. I've tried here, I tried there. They don't taste the same. They may come from the same manufacturer, but you are not allowed to use the same recipe. At least in most cases, you're not. There's always something a little different. Still appetizing, but different. So the whole aha gotcha with Meghan's tea. Oh, this is the same company that produced the other brand, but they're not the same. The quality is there, but the mixture, the blend is unique to Meghan's palate, and from her palate to your kitchen. That's how these things work. So it's easy to say, oh, this doesn't actually, this, let's say it's cookies. Oh, there's no tree full of elves that made these cookies. These cookies came out of a factory. There is no such thing as a Keebler elf. No shit, Sherlocks. No shit. There's not a Keebler elf? I don't believe it. Well, who are those little cartoon characters I saw on TV? Beverly LaSalle? Joe Pesci? Who are those little people? Meghan Markle fails to inspire Americans. Her popularity plummets. Oh, that reeks of guess who? Rich Americans fork out $1 million to see Harry and Meghan receive the same human rights award as Barack Obama at glittering gala night in New York, blasted as blatantly ludicrous. Where is the article about the President of the United States building a ballroom on the White House in a period of austerity that we live in with record high inflation? Where is the article that criticizes Donald Trump? Where is it? And why isn't Carolyn Graham writing that article? What does she have to say about the state dinner for Donald Trump? Or is it only that Harry and Meghan wasn't invited? Anyway, that is Max Mario. And like I said, he was magnificent. They could not put a glove on him. Harry needs to keep in mind Charles and Camilla's German royal sends warning to Duke after selfie with Z-list fake prince at LA Aviation Award bash, and says he needs to be more aware of who he poses with. Do you think that the average person would know anything about this had she not painstakingly pointed it out? We wouldn't know anything had you not said anything. And since you've gone through the trouble, so what? So what? Is it any worse than Prince Charles posing with a felon at a state dinner? Where's the article about that? Is it worse than Prince Charles laughing with Andrew outside of a funeral? Where's the article about that? Where did it go wrong? It didn't. That's where it did not. Oh, but you know what? She did write an article, you see down there. Farewell again to the one man Charles says he can't live without. Uh-oh. There we go. Yeah, so she's wrote a couple of zingers about the other royals, but nothing to the extent of what she has done with the Sussexes. You know what? It's been almost 3 hours and I'm losing my voice. So I am going to drag Sophie tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to drag her tomorrow. Um if you have any last comments, go ahead and throw them in the chat. But I'm so glad you allowed me to explain to you Carolyn Graham. I have done this on several occasions, and no doubt I'll do it again. But Carolyn Graham is the devil. She's a dreadful, awful, negative, nasty individual. And the idea that she may possibly have moved to the Philippines, and even more shockingly, that she may have been romantically linked to Meghan's father. And of course, you guys, I hate to say this, but what if they get married? And exactly what, if any, of his possessions related to Meghan has she gone through? Now, chances are there's not much for her to see besides home movies and photos and such, because Meghan hasn't been living in a space with her dad for a very long time. And I'm guessing whatever possessions he had are likely in storage somewhere, likely that he didn't take everything to the Philippines with him. So who knows how that goes. But I don't even know who would be his next of kin. I really don't know. I believe that under the law in most states, whoever your caretaker is the one who is, likely to receive certain assets. So I'm not sure. um, yeah, I think so. You know me. It is frightening how much hostility that she has. It really is frightening to think that someone could harbor that much hate. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, does she love the royal family that much? Is she being paid to maintain this? Is she just turned on by the idea of of trying to ruin other people's lives? I mean, is that the motivation? But I guess seniors, I think her kink is seniors. I mean, think about it. She goes after the pensioners, doesn't she? Now, I shouldn't say that because I don't know how old Mary Tillman is. But at the very least, she seems to target anyone who's vulnerable. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here on Royal Sussex. The Curious Case of Carolyn Graham. That's a good title for that article. I am curious. Well, I ordered 3 bottles of the Sauvignon. Oh, okay. Good night, everyone. Oh, your eyes are burning. What happened? God, I cannot believe I've been on so long. I wish I was a Dixie. Go to hell, go to hell. I wish I was a Dixie. Go to hell, go to hell. Well, I'm looking at some of the stuff online here. Is there something motivating this crazy woman? I would like to know what it is. Money, greed, power. Oh, thank you, Sussex Team Warrior. Well, I mean, look at Richard Eden. Richard Eden is a hateful little monster. You know, and a lot of these people, they're not above lying. They're not above lying. If it helps them to make the case, they will lie. If there's one thing that is very difficult to demonstrate in a way that it helps build a case against these hateful people, but I wish it would make a difference, but it's very hard to demonstrate, is to simply look at the way they have praised someone before and the way that they have vilified someone after any given period of time. I mean, there were people who wrote glowingly about Princess Diana. And then at some point, as though Diana's mental health did not matter, as though her safety was not a priority, their words of hostility and hate, which could have been, you know, used against Diana. I mean, we don't know. There could have been someone lurking about that was not in Paris that, if given the opportunity, may have wanted to harm Diana for the sake of the monarchy. And the people that feed that hostility are these writers, these columnists, these so-called reporters. Could you imagine how upset Carolyn Graham was at her big opportunity to be in the same room, or at least attempt to be in the same room with Meghan at the Aviation Award, only to find out that there will be no red carpet for her to witness, and that Harry had gone through the back door. So you won't even see him. Could you imagine how upset she was? They wanted to see Meghan on that red carpet so bad. And these are the same people that will write articles declaring that the Sussexes were never invited. They never invite them to the red carpets. I'm glad that Harry and Meghan rarely do anything like that, because if they show up at so many events where they are not really, needed, then it would make them seem like they're desperate. But because they're off minding their own business, means that they are not so needy for that kind of attention. And I'm glad that they, don't show up for everything. As much as I would love to see them, I'm glad they don't show up. I'm glad they show up when there's something to do instead of just for the sake of being there. Oh my God, you fell asleep? Well, I didn't say much. I just spent about an hour and a half. Not much. Just about an hour and a half. Let's see. I'm still hoping Meghan gets her Los Angeles Museum Gala. It would be a great way to end the year, another award for community service. They are doing that, aren't they? Isn't that scheduled for like the 15th or something like that? Or is that something different? Anyway, we're going to have to do another members only and get Legs back on here again. I don't know if it'll be this weekend, but we'll do it soon. I'm just going to come on, and if he's available, he's available. If not, oh well. We'd have to catch him next time. Wow, ain't that something? Carolyn Graham in the Philippines. That is just a nightmare. In the Philippines with Thomas Markle Sr. And thanks to Samantha, who inadvertently spilled the beans. So much to unpack there, isn't it? Okay, love you guys. I'm going to say goodnight, and we'll pick this up again. Gosh, I was hoping to come on earlier today. I'm going to try it again tomorrow, but circumstances wouldn't allow it. But we'll try it again tomorrow, okay? Cheers, and I'll see you next time.